And we're hearing more and more about AI, its benefits, and some very dangerous and downright creepy drawbacks. Well, state legislators now say that they're hoping within the next couple of months to make some drawbacks illegal. Well, specifically, it has much to be able to do with AI images of child pornography and deep fake images or videos that are sexually explicit.
Queen City News anchor Derek Dellinger spoke with one of the sponsors of this legislation. And Derek, some of the things addressed in this bill have already happened to some people here locally.
Yes, and this bill is definitely meant to talk about the creepy part of AI, which includes fake images of real people in compromising situations and AI-generated child pornography. It's also meant to address sextortion in North Carolina and even the possession of child sex dolls. Now, all of this may sound uncomfortable and disturbing, but state lawmakers are making the case to address it now and not later. AI may be seen as a brave new world, but such things in it can sometimes be disturbing. One example actually was last year when a former Charlotte psychiatrist, David Tatum, was accused of having child pornography by way of AI, using images of real minors and turning them into something explicit and illegal. Tatum, at the time, facing federal charges, but cases like this are getting a statewide spotlight. For lack of better words, how much of this is playing catch up to the way technology is right now?
A lot of it is. One of the particular provisions that was added that I do think is a good add that we've seen a lot in the media recently is AI-generated images.
State Representative Terry Brown of Mecklenburg County is one of the sponsors of a bill that, by its own wording, would modernize sex crimes to include things like sextortion, deep fake revenge porn, and child pornography made by AI. The reasoning?
You know exactly what you're doing when you create these images. You are doing that because you are making an image of a minor in a sexually compromised situation. So that essentially is a crime by any other means. We are now just updating our laws to capture this new technology that's available.
Back in November, U.S. Attorney Dina King told Queen City News about Tatum's case to show the extent some people will allegedly go to.
In essence, he would use a web-based artificial intelligence application to literally alter the images of clothed minors, transitioning that into child pornography. Two of the images, for an example, that were used were modified from a school dance photograph, and then another was a photograph commemorating the first day of school.
One of these new parts of the bill also includes something many may have never thought about: possession of a child sex doll. And as unusual and as disturbing as that may sound, Brown says this is one of the more proactive measures of the legislation meant to get ahead of whatever may come next, and also protecting not only children, but adults too.
It affects everyone who has these fake images, exploitation against them.
Now, the bill is going between the State House and State Senate right now. State Representative Brown told us that hopefully this will be on the governor's desk within about the next month or so. The bill, if it does become law, would take effect in December. Morgan?
Derek, thank you. More details now. Sexual extortation cases, also known as sextortion, are on the rise in North Carolina and across the country now. The FBI is getting involved to try and protect kids. Sextortion is when adults pose as teens and manipulate victims to produce and share sexually explicit images and then extort victims for additional photos or money. According to the FBI, here in our state, they reported a 600% increase in sextortion cases between 2021 and 2022. And the numbers are also starting to startling, coming into the tip line at the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. In 2022, they had 80,000 reports of sextortion. Last year, though, that more than doubled to 180,000. Those numbers are enough to share a warning tonight to parents and those who are on their devices.
The biggest thing we're telling parents to do is have conversations with their children about what they're doing on these devices. Make sure you know who you're talking to on the other end of that conversation.
Portnoy says that the suspects can seem just like another kid and appear on gaming platforms or on social media. Officials say it can happen quickly and innocently before it turns dangerous.